Kevin Brennan stood at the observation window of the Mars Defense Station, looking out at the red dust clouds rolling across the desert. He had been working here for 3 years now, ever since his marriage ended. The job kept him busy. It gave him purpose. It kept him from thinking about the woman who had left him. His communications panel beeped. Kevin turned away from the window and moved back to his desk. The message was urgent. A diplomatic delegation from the Velith Empire would arrive in 6 hours. The Velith rarely came to Earth space. They were advanced, proud, and they rarely needed anything from humanity. This visit was unusual. Kevin pulled up the delegation list on his screen. His hands went cold. There, near the top of the names, was Kelsin. It was not a common name. Kevin knew only one Velith who carried it. His ex-wife's name was Iris. She had chosen the name Kelsin when she returned to her homeworld 7 years ago. She was Velith royalty, a princess by birth. Kevin was just a man from Chicago who worked in communications. The marriage had never been going to last. He had always known it deep down. The delegation docked 2 hours early. Kevin stood in the reception area with the station commander, Admiral Marcus Webb. 20 Velith soldiers entered first, their armor reflecting the white lights of the corridor. Then came the commander. She wore dark blue and silver robes, the colors of the Velith military. Her face was sharper than Kevin remembered, more aligned with responsibility. Her eyes were the same pale blue they had always been, but there was less warmth in them now. She looked at him for only a moment before turning to address Admiral Webb. "I am Commander Kelsin of the Velith Empire," she said. Her voice was steady and official. "We have come seeking an alliance. My empire faces a threat that grows larger each day. We need humanity's help." Admiral Webb nodded and shook her hand. Kevin stood silent, unable to speak. She had not acknowledged him at all. Perhaps she did not recognize him. Perhaps 7 years had changed him enough that she saw only a stranger in the uniform. They moved to the conference room. Kevin was ordered to assist in the meeting as a communications officer. He sat across the table from Kelsin and forced himself to focus on the words she was speaking, not on the fact that he was hearing her voice again after so long. The Velith Empire, Kelsin explained, was under attack from a force they called the Void Collective. These were ancient beings that existed between stars. They consumed everything in their path. 3 Velith colonies had been destroyed. 2 more were under threat. The Empire's military was struggling to stop them. "Why come to us?" Admiral Webb asked. "Your technology is far ahead of ours." Kelsin paused. For just a moment, her eyes shifted to Kevin. "Because we need something that technology alone cannot provide. We need people who refuse to surrender. We need people who solve problems in ways we have not expected. We need humans." The meeting lasted 4 hours. When it was finished, Kelsin stood to leave. Kevin watched her rise from her chair. She looked at him directly for the first time since she had arrived. "You are still here," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Kevin replied. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "I did not know you remained on Mars. There are a lot of things we do not know about each other anymore," Kevin said. Kelsin's expression did not change, but something flickered behind her eyes. She turned and walked from the room without another word. That night, Kevin sat alone in his quarters. The walls were bare except for a few pictures of Earth. He had no photographs of Iris or Kelsin. He had deleted them all years ago, thinking that would help him move forward. He regretted that now. She had looked tired. War did that to people. War took the softness out of them and left only duty. Kevin understood that. He had seen it in soldiers, in commanders, in people who carried too much weight on their shoulders. 3 days passed. The Velith and Earth authorities were negotiating. Kevin was not part of those talks. He went to his job, did his work, and avoided the areas where Kelson might be. But the station was not that large. On the fourth day, he found her in the observation deck, standing where he usually stood. "This view is the same as I remember," she said without turning around. "Mars has not changed." "Mars changes slowly," Kevin said. He had not meant to speak. The words just came out. Kelson turned to face him. "Do you?" she asked. "Change slowly?" Kevin did not know how to answer that. Had he changed? 7 years was a long time. He was older now, more experienced in his work. But did that count as real change? Did the work he did matter when the woman he had once loved was standing in front of him looking like a stranger? "I think we both have," Kevin said finally. "Duty changes people." "Yes," Kelson agreed. "It does." She turned back to the window. Kevin wanted to say something, wanted to ask why she had accepted this assignment when she knew he was here. But he did not. Instead, he stood beside her in silence, watching the red planet below them. Both of them trapped between what they had been and what they had become. "The negotiations are going well," Kelson said after a long moment. "Your Admiral Webb is practical. She understands what is at stake. And do you?" Kevin asked. "Understand what is at stake?" Kelson was quiet for a long time. "I understand that my empire is dying," she said. "And I understand that I need you. All of you. Humanity has always been better at fighting impossible things than anyone expected. That is why I asked for you specifically on this delegation." Kevin's breath caught. "You asked for this assignment?" "I asked to lead it," Kelson said. She still did not look at him. "I did not ask for you to be here. That was chance, or perhaps fate. I do not believe in such things, but I am beginning to wonder if I should." She left before Kevin could respond. He stood alone in the observation deck, his heart beating fast, knowing that the 7 years between them were about to matter far less than the conflict that lay ahead. The tour began early the next morning. Kelson had requested to visit Earth's major research and military facilities. Admiral Webb assigned Kevin as her guide. It was the worst and best thing that could happen. They flew to the underground research complex near Denver. Kevin showed her the laboratories where human scientists were working on new weapons, new defenses, new ways to survive. The Velith had better technology, but they did not have the hunger for survival that humans carried. That was what Kevin was beginning to understand. That was what made humans dangerous in ways even they did not fully see. Dr. Lisa Park headed the weapons division. She was small, quick-minded, and she spoke with her hands as much as her words. When she saw Kelson, she did not bow. She shook her hand like an equal and immediately started explaining the problems her team was solving. "Your ships are beautiful," Lisa said, "but they are built for one kind of war. Straight lines. Predictable patterns. Our people are different. We broke our teeth on unpredictable enemies. We learned to think sideways." Kelson watched Lisa work for 2 hours. She saw the crude test models, the failures, the slow progress. She saw nothing impressive by Villa's standards. But then Lisa showed her the results. "We took a standard Velith weapons design," Lisa explained, "and we changed it. We used different materials. We changed the firing pattern. It is less efficient by your measurements, but it is more flexible. It can adapt. It can learn the enemy's patterns and respond in ways the original design cannot." Kelson picked up the weapon. It was heavier than a standard Velith arm, less elegant. But she understood immediately what Lisa had done. It was crude, but it was alive. It could change. "Show me more," Kelson commanded. They spent the day at the facility. Lisa showed her prototype after prototype. Each one was a small mutation of proven Velith designs. Each one was worse in every measurable way. Each one was far more dangerous because it could think in new directions. When they left the facility, Kelson was quiet. Kevin drove the transport vehicle through the Colorado mountains. The landscape was harsh, beautiful, and unforgiving. Why did you not bring designs like this to my empire before? Kelson asked suddenly. We did not know your empire wanted them, Kevin said. You never asked. You told us you had everything you needed. Because we believed it was true, Kelson said. We were wrong. They drove in silence for a while. Then Kelson spoke again, her voice softer than before. You have changed, she said. You are more confident, more assured in yourself. You were not like this when we were together. You were always the strong one, Kevin said, keeping his eyes on the road. I was just a man trying to make his way. Being married to a princess taught me that I needed to become stronger, or I would always live in your shadow. I left because I had to, Kelson said. My father was dying. My empire needed me. But I also left because I thought you would be better without me. You were struggling under the weight of who I was. Kevin's hands tightened on the steering wheel. You did not give me a choice. You just left. I know, Kelson said. There was no defense in her voice, just acknowledgement. I have regretted many things about that decision. I had to return to my duties, but I did not have to do it the way I did. They arrived at the next facility in silence. This was a military training center in Nevada. Kevin introduced Kelson to Colonel Nathan Cross, a tactical commander who had spent 30 years studying unconventional warfare. Nathan was in his 60s, lean and hard and scarred from battles. He looked at Kelson like she was just another soldier, not a princess or a commander. He treated her with respect but not deference. You fight like you have unlimited resources and unlimited numbers, Nathan told her bluntly, studying the combat data she had brought. You throw force at problems until they break. That works when you are bigger and stronger. But it fails against an enemy that is also big and strong and adapts to your patterns. The Void Collective adapts quickly, Kelson admitted. Then, you cannot fight them like you have fought everything else, Nathan said. You need to forget everything your empire taught you about warfare. You need to learn how humans fight. Nathan spent the entire day showing Kelson recordings of human military conflicts. She watched as smaller forces defeated larger ones. She saw how humans used terrain, surprise, and unconventional tactics to overcome superior opponents. By evening, Kelson understood something she had not understood before. Her empire had been built on certainty. They knew the rules of warfare, and they followed them. Humans, by contrast, had been born in chaos. They knew how to fight when the rules broke down. As Kevin and Kelson left the facility, she turned to him. I think I understand now, she said. Why I needed to come here. Why I needed to see you specifically. Why? Kevin asked. Because you understand both sides, Kelson said. You understand the strength of my people. But you also understand the strength of humans. You are the bridge between who I was and who I need to become. Kevin did not respond. They drove back to the transport station in the dying light of the Colorado afternoon. And for the first time since Kelson had arrived, Kevin allowed himself to hope. The presentation to the Veolith Council took place in a virtual conference room. Kelson stood before her people with Kevin and his team beside her. They had 3 hours to convince the most powerful military minds in the galaxy that humanity could actually help. Kevin was nervous. These were beings with centuries of military experience. They had never lost a major conflict. They would not easily believe that a young species like humanity had anything valuable to teach them. The Void Collective, Kevin began, speaking through a translator, is not like any enemy your empire has faced. They do not follow patterns. They do not value territory in the way you do. They consume. That is their only goal. He showed them data. The Void ships had changed their tactics 17 times in the last 2 years. Every time the Velith adapted their defenses, the Void found a new approach. Conventional warfare will not work, Kevin said. You need something new. You need human innovation combined with Velith technology. One of the council members, a general named Vethkan, leaned forward. Humanity has less advanced technology than a Velith colony ship. How can they offer us innovation? Lisa Parks stood up. She was still wearing her work clothes, still carrying the confidence of someone who had spent her life solving impossible problems. Because we have learned to do more with less, Lisa said. We take what we have, and we make it work in ways that should be impossible. We do not have the resources your empire has. So we learn to be creative. We learn to see what is possible when you stop following the rules. She showed them her modified weapons designs. The council members looked at them with something between curiosity and mild contempt. These weapons were inefficient by every Velith measure. Then Lisa showed them the test results. In combat scenarios against adaptable opponents, her designs outperformed standard Velith weapons by an average of 43%. The council became very quiet. Nathan Cross stood next. He was smaller than the Velith, older, with the bearing of someone who had seen real war and survived it. I will not tell you that we understand your enemy better than you do, Nathan said. We do not. But I will tell you that we understand adaptation. We understand being outmatched. We understand fighting with our minds because we cannot fight with our strength alone. He showed them battle plans. They were strange to Velith eyes, full of apparent chaos and risk. But when Nathan explained them, the logic became clear. These were plans built on the assumption that the enemy would adapt. They anticipated adaptation and used it against the enemy. Vethkan stood up and spoke in the Velith language. The translator provided Kevin with the words, "You are asking us to trust our survival to beings we consider children. This is insane." Calson stood. The entire council fell silent. I have seen what they can do, Calson said. I have studied their innovations. I have reviewed their battle histories. General Vethkan is right that they are young. But that is their advantage, not their weakness. They've learned to fight in chaos. We have learned to fight in order. The Void Collective is chaos. We need chaos to fight chaos. You ask this because of personal feelings, Vethkan said. This human, he was your mate. We all know this. Yes, Kelson said. She did not deny it. I was married to Kevin Brennan for 5 years. I left him because duty required it. That was wrong. I should have given him more. But do not confuse personal truth with strategic truth. I am asking for this alliance not because of Kevin. I am asking because Earth has produced the only military minds in this galaxy that understand how to fight the Void Collective. The council voted. It was close. 7 in favor, 5 against. The motion passed. The military cooperation between Earth and the Velith Empire would proceed. Kevin, Lisa, and Nathan would have command authority in joint operations. Human ships would be retrofitted with Velith technology. After the meeting, Kelson pulled Kevin aside into a private chamber. We may have just made a terrible mistake, she said. If this fails, both our peoples will blame each other. I know, Kevin said. But if we do nothing, you will lose anyway. At least this way, we fight. At least this way, Kelson repeated. She looked at him for a long moment. I need you on the command ship. I need you where I can see you and trust you. Can you do that? Yes, Kevin said. I can. Kelson reached out and touched his face, just for a moment. It was the first time she had touched him since the day she left. Then she lowered her hand and turned away. Then let us prepare for war, she said. The battle began at the edge of the Kepler system. 32 Veolith ships and 12 human vessels faced a void fleet twice their size. The void ships moved like liquid, flowing around obstacles, adapting to every defense. Kevin sat at the tactical station on Calcin's command ship, the Veolith carrier named Aether's Sword. Around him, screens displayed real-time data from every vessel in the fleet. He could see friendly forces in green, enemy forces in red. The space between them was becoming smaller with every passing second. All units, hold formation. Calcin commanded from the center of the bridge. Her voice was steady, but Kevin could see her hands gripping the armrests of her chair. The void ships struck first. Their weapons were strange, existing partially outside normal space. They burned through shields like they were nothing. One human destroyer, the USS Atlanta, took a direct hit. The ship's shields failed instantly. "This is not working," the captain of the Atlanta transmitted. "Their weapons are adapting to our defenses. We are losing power." Kevin's mind raced. The void weapons were changing in real time, learning the patterns of human ship defenses. This was the problem they had anticipated. This was why they had come. "Atlanta, cut your active shields," Kevin commanded. "What?" The Atlanta's captain sounded shocked. "Cut your shields. Go dark. Go silent. Let them think you are dead," Kevin said. The Atlanta went dark. Immediately, the void ships stopped targeting it. They moved past the derelict hull, looking for active prey. "All human ships on my signal, go dark," Kevin commanded. "Cut power to everything except life support and engines. Minimal heat signature. Make them think we are dead." The human fleet went dark. Suddenly, the void had nothing to target in the human vessels. The red icons on Kevin's screen shifted as the enemy vessels searched for targets, becoming confused by the sudden absence of signals they had been attacking. "Now," Kevin said, "attack for minimum firing distance. Do not let them adapt. Shift power. Shift shields. Change configuration. Every 5 seconds, change something." The human ships came alive, firing at close range. The void vessels, designed to fight in predictable patterns, suddenly faced an enemy that made no sense. Ships that appeared dead, then fired. Ships that changed their configurations constantly. Ships that did not follow any recognizable tactical doctrine. It worked. For the first time, they were actually hurting the void fleet. Then, a void weapons platform locked onto the control ship. Aether's Sword took a direct hit. The bridge shook. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Kevin gripped his station as alarms blared around him. "Shields at 40%, the tactical officer reported. "Taking damage to the port side. We cannot withstand another hit like that." Calcin stood from her chair. "All units, we are moving to the front line. We will draw their fire." "That is a suicide move," Kevin said, not bothering to use formal address anymore. "Just speaking the truth." "It is a necessity," Calcin replied. She looked at him. "You have shown us that human strength is not about being stronger. It is about being willing to sacrifice everything for victory. Let me show my people the same." The Aether's Sword accelerated toward the void weapon platform. Kevin watched the incoming fire calculations on his screen. The ship would be destroyed in seconds. They would not survive, unless Kevin's team could do something impossible. Lisa Park was on the human ship fighting nearby, the destroyer USS Lincoln. Kevin sent her an urgent message. "Can you fire on the incoming void weapons before they reach us?" The reply came instantly. "I can try." 3 void energy bolts were racing toward the Aether's Sword. The USS Lincoln fired everything they had. Their weapons struck 2 of the bolts, detonating them in mid-space. The 3rd bolt came through, but it hit their sword at an angle, glancing blow instead of direct impact. The ship shook. Kelson fell to her knees, but the ship held together. "Damage report," Kelson commanded, pulling herself back to her feet. "Hull damage but no core breaches," the chief engineer reported. "We can continue fighting." The battle raged for 6 more hours. Slowly, the void ships began to retreat. Their formation broke. They could not adapt fast enough to the chaos of human tactics combined with Velith firepower. They stopped fighting and turned toward deep space, fleeing. The human Velith fleet was damaged but alive. They had won. Kevin collapsed in his chair, exhausted. Around him, crew members were cheering. But Kelson was quiet. She was looking at the tactical display where the void ships were disappearing. "They will return," she said. "This is only a beginning." "But yes, we have won this battle." She looked at Kevin across the bridge. "Your people are remarkable," she said. "I think I finally understand when I chose duty over you. But I also understand that this battle is more important than what we lost. Thank you for being willing to sacrifice yourself for victory." "Everyone was willing to sacrifice," Kevin said. "That is what humans do." Kelson nodded slowly. "Yes, that is why you are exceptional." 3 weeks later, Kevin stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Command Station orbiting Mars. The battle was over. The void threat had retreated to a safe distance. Both sides were counting casualties and repairing damage. Humanity had lost 2 ships and 400 soldiers. That was a blow that would echo through Earth's military for years. But they had proven something. They had shown that human innovation and adaptability could change the course of galactic war. Kelson found him there, as he knew she would. She had the ability to move through crowds unseen, to slip away from her duties whenever she needed to think. Kevin had learned this about her years ago, and it was still true. "The Council has voted to establish a permanent joint defense force," Kelson said. "Human commanders will have full authority in all operations involving the Void. You have been named as the head of human tactical operations." Kevin turned to face her. "That is a big responsibility." "It is," Kelson agreed. "But you are the person for it. You understand both our peoples. What about us?" Kevin asked. The question had been hanging between them since she arrived at Mars. Kelson was quiet for a moment. "We cannot go back to what we were. Too much has changed. Too much time has passed. I have duties here now. I am the supreme commander of this alliance. You have responsibilities to your people. We cannot be what we once were." Kevin felt his heart sink. He had known this was coming. He had accepted it weeks ago. But acceptance and feeling the actual words were different things. "But perhaps we can be something new," Kelson continued. "We have proven we can work together. We have proven that we understand each other in ways we did not before. Perhaps that is a foundation for something different. Something that serves both our peoples and also serves us." Kevin looked out at Earth, hanging blue and green against the black of space. "I do not know what that would look like," he said. "Neither do I," Kelson said. "But I am willing to find out. If you are willing to try." Kevin took her hand. It felt different now. Not like the hand of his wife. Not like the hand of a stranger. Like the hand of someone who understood him in ways that went deeper than love. Partnership. Trust. Shared purpose. "I am willing," Kevin said. They stood together watching Earth turn below them. Neither of them spoke, but they did not need to. The work that lay ahead would be harder than anything they had faced before. The void threat would return. The alliance between humans and Velith would be tested many times. But they would face it together. Kevin finally understood what Kelson had known for 7 years. That duty and love were not always opposed to each other. Sometimes they were the same thing. Sometimes the people you loved most were the ones you had to give up to protect something greater. And sometimes If you were very lucky, you got a second chance. Not the same chance, but something new. Something forged in sacrifice and tested in battle. Something real. Below them, Earth continued its slow turn through space. Humanity had proven itself to the galaxy. But more importantly, Kevin had proven something to himself. That he was not defined by the woman he had lost. He was defined by what he chose to do and who he chose to be. And standing beside Kelson, looking out at the vast universe stretching before them both, Kevin Brennan finally felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be.